Hi, this is Christian and welcome to NFL Updates Express, your weekly dose of NFL news. Coming your way, the season predictions video for 2015. It's the NFL playoffs. The road to Super Bowl 50 begins here. My first matchup in the AFC is the 3-seeded Broncos taking on the 6-seeded Miami Dolphins. It should be a pretty entertaining defensive game, but Denver comes out on top. Next matchup is the Baltimore Ravens as they take on the San Diego Chargers. And Phillip Rivers plays the game tough, but Baltimore and Joe Flacco is always clutch in the playoffs. He'll win this one. The next matchup in the divisional round is the number 1 seeded New England Patriots as they take on the 4-seeded Ravens. And, the Patriots and the Ravens always have great matchups, but I think this time around, Baltimore gets the job done. My next matchup in the divisional round is the Indianapolis Colts, the 2 seed, taking on the 3-seeded Denver. And I think it will go a little bit like last year, but in a more closer game, I think Indy takes it by the score of about 16-13. And then the AFC Championship game, I have Indianapolis taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And in a classic matchup, I see the Indianapolis Colts going to the Super Bowl, 31-27. On to the NFC. My first matchup in the wild card is the 3-seeded Carolina Panthers as they take on the 6-seeded Arizona Cardinals. Now, Arizona is a much better team than they were last year against Carolina, but I still think at home Carolina gets the job done over Arizona. The next matchup in the wild card is the 4-seeded Philadelphia Eagles as they take on the 5th-seeded Dallas Cowboys in what should be a high-scoring match. And you know what? I just can't really trust Sam Bradford, and Romo's not much to trust either with his late-game heroics sometimes. But, at the end, I think that the Dallas Cowboys get the job done. On to the divisional round where I have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Dallas Cowboys. and what could have been an NFC Championship game last year, but I think anyway Seattle gets the job done with their new loaded offense like Jimmy Graham. And then in the next game, Green Bay versus Carolina, and there's really not much to say about this. Green Bay easily gets the job done. And then on to the NFC Championship game, it's the Seattle Seahawks taking the Green Bay Packers, and I think the Jordy Nelson absence with his ACL injury will be the difference, and Seattle heads to the Super Bowl pretty easily, 31-17.
And we're off to Super Bowl 50. Here are my predictions for the 2015-2016 NFL season. Starting with the wild card round in the AFC, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the New England Patriots. Now, this game could be very tight, but I have New England coming out on top. The other wild card game I have is Indianapolis versus San Diego. This one was a sort of easy pick for me. I think Andrew Luck can take the Colts over the Chargers. On to the divisional round. Denver takes on Indianapolis. In this one I have Indianapolis winning, sort of like last year. Then I have New England against Baltimore. New England has seemed to squeak out all the wins against Baltimore, and I think this year the streak will snap. Baltimore wins. On to the AFC Championship. Indianapolis versus the Baltimore Ravens. This one I think could be a very, very good game if it happens. I'm going to go with Baltimore though. They're off to the Super Bowl. Now on to the NFC. For the first game in the wild card round, I've got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. I think this could be a closely contested game between two division rivals, but I think New Orleans will come out on top at home. For the other wild card game, I've got the New York Giants versus the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Arizona Cardinals will win this one, and Carson Palmer will take them into the divisionals. For the divisional round, I have Seattle taking on Arizona. This was a pretty easy pick. Seattle wins. Same for the other divisional game. A pretty easy pick. Green Bay over New Orleans. Now for the NFC Championship. I think as a rematch from last year, we've got Seattle with the Green Bay Packers. And I think this could be a good game again. And I don't think it will end on a last-second touch by Seattle as it did last year. But in this case, I think Green Bay will come out on top and send themselves to the Super Bowl.
On to my Super Bowl prediction. It's the Indianapolis Colts as they take on the Seattle Seahawks. Now this will be a matchup of two of the best young quarterbacks in the NFL. Russell Wilson of the Seahawks and Andrew Luck of the Indianapolis Colts. And this will be a very intriguing game to watch, and I'd be very interested to see this matchup. But the Seahawks defense is just a different animal compared to the Indianapolis Colts defense. And even though both offenses are pretty good and Indy probably has the advantage on that one, I think that at the end of the day, defense wins championships, and after Seattle goes to their third Super Bowl, they'll take down Indy fairly easy, 37-24. The Super Bowl MVP is Marshawn Lynch, and the Seattle Seahawks will be Super Bowl 50 champions.
Packers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Now, without Jordy Nelson, I feel like Green Bay is missing a key piece of their offense, but they can still make a strong statement this season. Baltimore, on the other hand, has Steve Smith in his last year and Joe Flacco on fire. I think that this will be a very closely contested match, but in the end, Baltimore will get the win.
Before you go, let's take a look at the awards predictions for this season. So first, for MVP, I have Andrew Luck, the quarterback for Indianapolis, winning the award. Offensive Player of the Year, I have wide receiver of the Atlanta Falcons, Julio Jones. Defensive Player of the Year, a shocker here, but linebacker of the San Francisco 49ers, Navarro Bowman. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Amir Abdullah. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Shaq Thompson. Fantasy Player of the Year, Marshawn Lynch. Comeback Player of the Year, Doug Martin. And the Coach of the Year, Joe Philbin from Miami.
Here are my awards for the 2015-2016 NFL season. MVP, Marshawn Lynch. Offensive Player of the Year, Odell Beckham Jr. Defensive Player of the Year, Darrelle Revis. Rookie of the Year, Jameis Winston. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Leonard Williams. Fantasy Player of the Year, Odell Beckham Jr. Comeback Player of the Year, Adrian Peterson. And Coach of the Year, Mike McCarthy.